Hi, my name is Andrew De La Rosa. Welcome to The Origin of Truth. Our topic for today is, are AI and robots taking our jobs? Well, I think yes. Let me share with you a quote or this clip from the 2018 World Government Summit with Elon Musk. And he said there's going to have to be a universal basic income for everyone since there's going to be little to no jobs that AI or robots can't do better. So let me share that clip with you right now.
But what to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income, I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
So first of all, before I go further, back in 2020, I directed a documentary. I made a documentary called Project Warning, and you guys should really see it. It's projectwarning.com or theoriginoftruth.org. You can watch it there for free. And it does talk about the things that are happening that are leading up to this event. So my previous job back in almost 10 years ago, the company I worked for was already working with ChatGPT. And I remember the engineer, and he was saying that, in 5 years, you'll be out of the job. And I told him, no, maybe like probably 10 years. And here we are, about 10 years later, and a lot of people are losing their jobs now. And it just pains me to see that's what's happening now. Yeah, so I lost my job almost 2 years ago. Our marketing team got laid off, and it consisted of graphic designers and copywriters, photographers, videographers. I'm lucky enough to have clients. I moved into doing freelance and started my own company. But there's a lot of people out there. On LinkedIn, I even saw this one-time Emmy Award film editor now works at Trader Joe's. I mean, it's crazy. People who used to have high-paying jobs now doing DoorDash. And a lot of my coworkers from before still haven't found a job. I see them on LinkedIn, and some of them actually have applied to more than 500 jobs and still aren't able to land a job. And because of, how the market has shifted and a lot of people are using AI now. And I'm going to mention again what Elon Musk said in the 2018 World Government Summit. We're all going to have to be in a universal basic income. And I don't think that's a prediction. It's an agenda because AI and robots will be pretty much taking over. The reason I created Project Warning was, first of all, 20 years ago, I created a short film about the revelation, the mark of the beast on the revelation. And even back then, so this was back in 2004, they were already talking about the chip and how that's the mark of the beast. And a lot of people were really against it. They knew that it's the mark of the beast. They're never going to ever accept that. And I started thinking, how would this, if I was the one rolling out this chip or mark of the beast, like how would I go about it? Since a lot of people, Catholics and Christians around the world, they recognize this mark of the beast where you won't be able to buy or sell anything unless you have it. They recognize that, and how are they going to be able to roll it out if people are against it? Back in 20 years ago, I started thinking, well, how would I roll it out if I were to do that? And I started asking, well, what will happen to the businesses? What if they don't accept that? The law enforcement, who's gonna enforce this? Will they restrict travel or they restrict assembly when people are talking about this? Those were some of the things that I was thinking back then, and started writing a script about it. And so that was long time ago. Anyway, but that script got put on the shelf, and fast forward 2020, the lockdown, and I just thought, like, initially, okay, well, it's a virus, it's for the best, that everybody locked down and just try to be safe and healthy. So, well, a few days passed, a week passed, 2 weeks passed, And I was just thinking something's wrong, like how are they able to lock everybody down like this and just you remember if you watch all the Project Warning, I'm not gonna go through everything, but you know how it was back in 2020. People were scared. They had to put on a mask. They can't go out without their mask. People standing 6 feet apart away from each other, and you got to get the vaccine. And just people got arrested for having their keeping their businesses open. It was just a terrible time. So I was thinking, maybe this is the way they're rolling out, the mark of the beast. So I set out to actually try to disprove myself and say maybe I'm just been thinking about this a long time, and maybe that's just what's on my head. So like I started gathering clips around that time and see if I can make anything out of it. And the outcome of it is Project Warning. So what I did was I sent it to more than 2,000 Catholic churches around the world. This was before the strict policy now that you can't scrape emails and just send it out to everyone, because you'll get spam, or your account will get blocked, your domain will get blocked, and you won't be able to send out emails. So this was before that time, and even before Facebook comments were being categorized now as most relevant, newest, and in all comments. And now it's all out of sequence, the comments. But I'll get back to that. But anyway, I sent it out to more than 2,000 Catholic churches because I didn't really know. I think I sent it out to them because I feel like they'd be more capable to spread out this message, like, is this really the mark of the beast and what we should do about it? I don't have like the funding to kind of spread the word. So I thought the Catholic Church would be be more capable to take care of that if that's what's really happening. So, but to my surprise, just 2 days after I released that documentary, I saw Pope Francis post, address like kind of like the general audience and say, and he was saying that kind of like he was annoyed, but he was saying, oh, AI and robots, don't worry about it. It's something that's necessary for us to move forward. And I'll share you that clip right now. And anyway, that kind of shocked me because I was thinking, here I am, I'm trying to warn them and have them spread the message, but then he says that, so it completely shocked me. Like, anyway, here's that clip.
Noi non mai potremo uscire dalla crisi questa che si è evidenziata dalla pandemia meccanicamente, con nuovi apparecchi, ma sono importantissimi. Padre, c'è l'intelligenza artificiale, è importante, ci fa andare avanti. Non avere paura di queste cose.
I forgot that was in Spanish there, but if you go head on to our YouTube channel, you can see the translation there, and it pretty much says what I just mentioned earlier. So after that remark that Pope Francis said, I sent another version of the the documentary that included Pope Francis saying this, and I got some negative responses, even from a priest saying that I shouldn't be doing that. But I was just kind of like worried. I'm like a lay Catholic. If that's the case, then how can we, what we should we think about this? Because this is something that will to what I think will lead us to communism, and something that Our Lady of Fatima warned us about. The third secret about Russia spreading its errors, if Russia wasn't consecrated, and Russia's errors is communism. And if we go to the universal basic income, with AI and robots taking over, that's kind of, what's going to be happening. And, that really worried me. And even on on Revelation, if you read it, the mark of the beast, this is not my own interpretation. I watched this from the church I go to like a few years back. I can't recall the name of the video that they showed there, but interpreted like the beast as communism. So that after I did that, I started I tried my best to spread the documentary out, just just through Facebook comments, and I would do YouTube comments. But just maybe a few weeks later, I would get like 10 to 20 every time I commented and shared the link of the documentary on YouTube. But after a few weeks later, Facebook kind of changed their platform where it says most relevant, newest, or all comments. So when you comment, people may not see it, and then it's all out of sequence. So you're when you're commenting, they don't know what's it in context to. Like if someone else is, you're going back and forth with someone. So ever since I did that, I would comment, and sometimes I would get one view, or sometimes I would get 0 views. So that kind of made it hard to spread the word. So now, even now, I don't really hear a lot of people talk about this, but some people are starting to get it. But the Catholic Church hasn't really addressed any of this. Universal basic income would really lead to pretty much communism around the world. And I would think that all the world leaders and billionaires are in sync with when it comes to this, because I think this is something that would have to almost happen simultaneously around the world for it to work. And with the looming cashless economy, I believe they will be in total control, and it'll be hard to go back to the way things were. And that's what I'm really worried about, other than, of course, AI and robots taking over our jobs. So if you really think about it, the end goal is getting people on a universal basic income, and people having to get a chip to be able to buy or sell anything, since we're going to be in a cashless economy. And if you think of it in that way, I think everything that's happening will kind of fall into place. Like how can they make it possible for everyone? It's almost like they're creating the circumstances for this to happen. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can comment and you guys comment and let me know what you guys think about this. Keep your eyes open and see, what are the things or events that are happening in your own country. Is it leading up to this? Until next time, I'm Andrew. Our next topic next week will be discussing more about the cashless economy and how we can, survive if this is the situation that we find us in. So, thank you for listening. Until next week. You can email me at info@theoriginoftruth.org. Tell me about your own experiences in this economy. Again, my name is Andrew from The Origin of Truth, and I'll see you next time.